So it all started that winter in about January, where I developed this like kind of cough that never went away.
So I was coming back from Macau, and I landed in the Dulles airport, and my girlfriend, Danny Davis, tech alumni, came to pick me up, and she noticed that the left side of my neck was like swollen.
That weekend, it was like a 3-day weekend, and so we went skiing, and I fell. It was just one time, just on my right side. Like, it wasn't even a big deal. It didn't even hurt. But what that did was it caused my tumor to start bleeding.
My teacher pulled me aside and said, "You need to go to the clinic. They need to call your mom." And so when I was in the clinic, or when I went to the clinic, the nurse called my mom and was like, "You need to come pick up Mary Frances. There's a large tumor on the side of her neck."
One day after taking a shower, I looked in the mirror, and my neck didn't seem to be symmetric. And there were these, bulges on this side, and that's when, I decided, I need to go to the doctor for this.
And just, figured I should have a checkup coming back into the country, figure out what was up with my neck and make sure that I didn't have any other sort of problems.
And so I remember, going to feel it, and I hadn't even felt it well up, and then there's this lump the size of an orange, literally, on my neck.
And so the next day at school, Monday, I was in just terrible pain, and but the doctor said it was just fine. And my mom told him I don't complain of anything.
So I went to their version of Schiffer Health Center called Gannett. They did some blood work, and that was the first time that anybody said the word cancer to me.
I had no idea. I was not even expecting any sort of cancer. I was like, oh yeah. I mean, they had kind of it happened so fast that I was kind of in the dark.
I mean, I was really young. I didn't know even what cancer was, but I could tell that the doctors were acting differently.
And also, I guess just being so young, I wasn't really that, I knew I'd have surgery, but I didn't really think, cancer. I wasn't really thinking. So I just, wasn't, I was worried just because it sounded just not good. But, I didn't think, that it actually ended up being cancer.
I was coming off of being on the other side of the world for so long, and then immediately thrown in for, into this whole cancer world that it's just I was off balance and really couldn't get my bearings, and so it was several months into treatment before I kind of figured out what was happening.
For once before this, everything had lined up. I did very well in all my classes. I was over the hump in engineering at Cornell for mechanical engineering. I had my first choice in co-op. And things like that, and I felt on top of the world. And then this was a speed bump, that felt like a brick wall.
I remember when my oncologist sat me down with my parents. I remember him saying, "You have this disease called cancer, and you're going to have to take this medicine that makes your hair fall out, and you're going to have to get a lot of shots, and it's going to hurt a lot, but it's the only way to make you better."
And so it wasn't until August when it really hit me. They said, "Oh, you have all these that's when I was just I really sunk in that I did have cancer.
But it was kind of shocking, because after talking with my doctor and asking hey, yeah, how long has this been there, and they couldn't really give me a solid answer. And then I asked, well, if this went untreated, what would happen? And he was like, well, if you were one generation older, if you were your dad's age and this had happened in the 70s or something, then it would be a death sentence.